Bienvenidos a todos. Welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a minute. Welcome everyone. We'll get started in about a minute. All right. Welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to David, who will walk us through interpretation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Good evening, everybody. Let me go ahead and share the screen over here. Okay. Can you see my screen okay? Perfect. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to share the interpretation instructions, first in Spanish and then in English. Antes de comenzar, voy a compartir las instrucciones para acceder a los servicios de interpretación. Voy a hacer esto primero en español y luego en inglés. Para las personas que nos acompañan hoy a través de su tableta o iPad o su teléfono inteligente o smartphone, favor de localizar el menú en forma de 3 puntos en la parte inferior de su pantalla. De ahí pueden seleccionar Language Interpretation o interpretación del lenguaje. Y enseguida pueden seleccionar su idioma, en este caso el español o Spanish. Para todas las personas que nos acompañan a través de su computadora, pueden localizar el símbolo de interpretación en forma de globo en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Hagan clic ahí y después elijan su lenguaje en español o Spanish. Ahora voy a dar estas instrucciones en inglés. Here are the instructions in English for all those joining us tonight through their tablets or iPads or through their smartphone. Please locate the menu in the form of 3 dots on your screen. You can click there and then select language interpretation. And then select the language of your choice. In this case, it would be English. If you're joining us through your computer, you can locate the icon in the form of a globe for interpretation at the bottom of your screen. You can click there and then from there select English as the language of your choice. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, David. If anyone has trouble accessing the interpretation channels, please feel free to put a note in the chat. Next slide, please. Go. Thanks. I just wanted to just start us off as always with our meeting agreements. Ensure that we create space for everyone to contribute, step up and step back. So if you're if you have some thoughts to share, some questions to share, please do step up. If you feel like you've taken a lot of space tonight, give some time and opportunities for others to share as well. Make sure only one person speaks at a time and listen to each other. respect each other's opinions, knowledge, perspectives, lived experiences. Be conscientious of time. We're scheduled until 7, and we typically like to end at that time, if not a little bit earlier. And please speak slowly and clearly for the interpreter to have enough time and capacity to translate. Next slide. So I will be supporting with facilitation tonight, but we do have our facilitation consultants who will introduce themselves during the general announcements, but just wanted to let you know that I'll be supporting with facilitation tonight. Next slide. Just wanted to take a moment as well to remember John's legacy and also impact in the community, and also impact here at the Community Steering Committee as well. We learned at the last CSC's meeting of John's passing. He had a funeral service a couple weeks ago. Lauren was able to attend the the services, and I was able to go to the gravesite service after the main service. I think Phil was there as well, and many others in the community. So we were able to share our condolences directly with his family. But just wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge his impact on this group and on this community as well. This is actually a photo from one of our CSC meetings as well. Before we get into roll call, I just wanted to see if anyone wanted to share a few words.
If I may, Shalom, this is Sylvia Gonzala. I didn't know John Alvarado very close, but I know was a very strong and passionate advocate to his community. And for that, I applaud him, and I'm very grateful that I got to get to know him a little bit more. I remember one time me and my uncle went to a restaurant, and I actually got to meet him at that restaurant, and we are very surprised that we got to see each other outside of our CSC meetings. So that was a very nice experience with him. I just wish I probably had get to know him more and get to know the other side of John. So, but it was sad to hear about those news, but I'm sure that he's in a better place now. So thank you, John, for being part of this great advocacy.
Thank you, Sylvia. I'll just share kind of a personal note, kind of outside of kind of CSC things. A couple years ago, I did a fishing trip up in Montana and fell in love with fly fishing. And I know John really loved to fish, and so we were able to kind of connect and bond over both our mutual love of fishing. And so he was a person who you know, not only cared deeply for his community, but also had loves as well that he enjoyed. And then also, I know he shared with me that he would take a lot of kids fishing, and give them that like experience for the first time. And so, yeah, so yeah, I'm certainly going to remember John whenever I go fishing for sure. Before we move on, I just want to see if there's anyone else that'd like to share a story or some reflections.
I could share something.
Sure.
John was one of the residents that got an air purifier from the PAIR program. And so I am the one that did the home visit. And your story reminded me that he had so many fishing rods in his home. And a lot of people don't get to see other people's homes, right? That's kind of like an intimate space. But I think it was like during the summer, and he invited me for what was it? It was like a fizzy drink in a bottle, and he told me that he got it from Costco. But I remember him from the PAIR program and his advocacy for cleaner air in the Portside communities.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura, for sharing. All right. I went to the website, and I was hoping that they posted the ceremony. Unfortunately, I don't think they posted the services there, but we can post it. I'll post in the chat box during one of the presenters when I'm not on screen, but a link again to his obituary, where you could also take a moment to write a kind word to his family as well, and his friends. So thank you all for sharing a moment with me in remembering John. So with that, we're going to call roll this evening. And if you're here, just say here or present or presente. It's hard for me to see everyone on the screen at the same time. All right. Keith. Keith. Okay. Shelby. Jack.
I'm here. Good evening, everyone.
All right. Good evening, Jack. Massey.
Hi, I'm here.
All right. Welcome, Massey. Sarah.
Good evening, I'm here.
All right. Good evening. Lydia. Leslie.
Leslie's not here, but Phil is here.
All right, Phil, got you. Thank you. Nick Paul.
Presente. Hi, everyone.
All right, welcome. Martin.
Oh,
Dave,
qué caray.
was that Martin? Sorry. I think that may have been someone else. David. Okay. Roman.
Buenas tardes. Here.
Oh, good to hear you.
Yes,
Welcome.
back.
Yes, good. Safia. All right. Let's see, Stephanie shared she wouldn't be here this evening. Jose.
I'm here.
Right. Good to hear you, Jose. Brent.
Present. Thanks.
All right. Nick Critty.
I'm here.
Great, thank you. Sergio. Jonathan.
I'm here, and Liana is not.
Okay, thank you. Janice. Jackie. Alicia.
Presente.
All right, welcome. Margarita.
Presente.
Bienvenidos. Vanessa.
Here.
All right, welcome, Vanessa. Sal.
Present.
Thanks, Sal. Montserrat.
Presente.
Thank you, Montserrat. Sylvia.
Present.
Thank you. Ashley.
Present.
Thank you, Ashley. Josie. Maritza.
Present.
Right. Good to hear you. David.
Here.
David, thank you. Second. So total present is 19 with 12 absent and 3 excused absent. And we're able to meet quorum this evening. Since we're in a meeting format, what I'm going to do as well is put in the chat box, if it lets me. Oh, it's not letting me. I'll have to put the link in a little bit later of the actual CSC members, because there are also other folks as well here this evening that are either APCD staff, CARB staff, and folks who are presenting this evening as well. And also we have our new facilitation consultants who will introduce themselves in just a moment. So I'll put that in the chat box shortly when I get a moment when I'm not on screen. David, may we go to the next item on the agenda? And so the agenda this evening, we are going to have a presentation from the folks at the Institute for, I am blanking right now on what the acronym ILC. Local government, yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Institute for Local Government, who's going to be sharing about an opportunity to get involved in a research project that they're doing around best practices. Also, we are going to hear a presentation regarding some data analysis for the Portside Air Quality Improvement and Relief Program, also known as PAIR. And go to the next slide, please. We'll also be getting some project information from Zucarmex project proposal from the folks at the port, and also the folks who represent Zucarmex. Can we go to the objective slide, please? Thank you. The objective slide looks a bit long, both on the agenda and on the slide deck. But one of the things that I really wanted to start instituting is clearly identify which kind of CERP actions or strategies each of the agenda items are somehow related to, if there is a nexus, just so that it helps draw those connections to how are we using this time here together to advance, to discuss CERP implementation, right? The Community Mission Reduction Program implementation. So it's a bit long, but it's just as a way to kind of more clearly share how these things are related to items in the CERP that you've all helped prioritize. So with that, I just want to see if there's any modification requests to the agenda or minutes, or if anybody would like to support moving forward with the motion to support both the agenda and the meeting minutes from last month.
This is Maritza. I motion to approve the minutes and the agenda.
Thanks, Maritza. And I apologize. Who was the second?
It was me, Nicholas.
Nicholas? All right. I think we'll do a voice vote on this. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Any who oppose, say nay. All right. So the motion carries, and we'll be able to go about our business this evening. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to invite Hannah, who is our first presenter this evening, to go ahead and share her slide decks so that she'd be able to advance them on her own. Oh, I apologize. Before I do that, I apologize. I wanted to take a moment before we dive into the agenda. Just as a general update, I shared last time that we were very close to securing a facilitation consultant. we've done just that, and we're really excited to be able to bring on the folks at Kearns and West. And I wanted to provide an opportunity for you all to get to meet them briefly in this space before we jump into our agenda items this evening, who starting next month will be leading the facilitation in this space, but also supporting on the back end. So you'll be seeing emails coming from them in terms of updates, in terms of Zoom links, in terms of if you are interested in presenting at the Community Steering Committee, these are the folks that you'll be coordinating with as well. So they'll be supporting a lot, both on the kind of the front end in terms of facilitation, and in the back end, everything that we need to do to prepare for our time here together. So I want to take a moment. I'm going to pass it over to the folks at Kearns and West, and I'll pass it over to Christian first, and then he'll take it from here.
Yeah, buenas tardes a todos. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Christian Mendez. I'm a senior director of Kearns and West. Kearns and West is a collaboration and strategic communications firm. So we do a lot of work in San Diego. You'll get to learn more about the work that we do, but we do have other folks that will be kind of like doing a brief intro as well from our team. I will be serving as your lead facilitator for upcoming meetings. So moving forward, I'll be serving the role of Shalom serving today. I'm going to pass it off to some other folks in our team that are on the call. So Jazz.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you this evening. My name is Jazz King. I am a senior associate at Kearns and West. I'll be the project manager, so you'll probably be getting a lot of emails from me, just holding everything together. And I live in San Diego, and I work in our national city office as well. I'll pass it to Brisa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brisa. I'm a senior associate at Kearns. I'm also on the San Diego team, working with Jazz in the national city office. I'll be on with Christian doing meeting support and co-facilitation. So yeah, happy to be here. I'll pass it to Joan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joan Isaacson. I'm one of the principals at Kearns and West, and we're so excited to be having this contract and be able to support the important efforts of this committee and all the important work that you're doing. And I also am in San Diego and work out of our national city office.
Yeah, and I think just, again, we're really excited to be working with Portside Community Steering Committee. Looking forward to the upcoming meetings, and yeah, as you start seeing our emails coming forth, if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. Sean, I think over back to you, and yeah, glad to be here. And today we're just listening in. So
yeah, thank you so much, Christian and team. Excited that you're on board. It certainly helps us out a lot and provides us that extra capacity to be helping with kind of advancing the CERP, because we're freed up from kind of doing the logistics. And Kearns and West will also be supporting the International Border Community Steering Committee as well, which is quite exciting because for the past 2-3 years there, APCD staff has been supporting with that facilitation there exclusively. So I'm excited to have you all on board. We'll be probably later this week sending an email to all the CSC members with Kearns and West contact information, so that you all are connected, and so that also when you see their emails pop up, who you're receiving that information from as well. So with that, welcome aboard. We're really excited that you're here to support us in this important work. It's kind of been a long time coming, and our team has been kind of trying to advance this support for quite some time. So we're very excited that you're on board. So welcome. Yeah. So with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Hannah now. Apologize about that false start, but Hannah, feel free to go ahead and share your slides and start your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Shalom. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for your time, for allowing me and my colleague Melissa to meet you all and talk a little bit about our project and towards the end to encourage your participation in the project. My name is Hannah Stelmakovic. I'm with the nonprofit organization Institute for Local Government, and I'm joined by Melissa Keene. She is my colleague. Melissa, I don't know if you're saying hello, you're chiming in later.
Yeah, no, thank you for having us. But Hannah, I'll let you keep going.
Perfect. So 2 of us is the team on the project. It's the project that involves AB617 communities and different local agencies that are participating in implementing community emission reduction plans, implementing and or developing those plans. Just a few words about the Institute for Local Government, or ILG, so you know what our organization is. We're a nonprofit, we're statewide, and we're here to help. What you see on the right-hand side of your screen is 3 statewide associations: CalCities, California Special District Association, and California State Association of Counties. So we are training and education affiliate of all these 3 organizations. Just a few more words about us. Day to day, we serve local governments, cities, counties, and special districts. We provide easy and practical resources that help them to navigate the challenges and complexities of their job. So we're helping them with resources and educations to do their job better. Just a few more words about our program and areas. 4 program areas: leadership and governance that Melissa leads, civic education and workforce, a public engagement program that I'm part of, and sustainable and resilient communities. So those are our program areas. And as I mentioned, we provide education and training to local governments, technical assistance such as grant writing, facilitation, convenience, capacity building, and stakeholder engagement. All right, very briefly about us. Let me talk a little bit about the project, the research project that Melissa and I and our organization is doing. In the nutshell of the project, we're hoping to identify best practices for collaboration. When you have developed your community emission reduction plans, and once you're implementing your community emission reduction plans, as you know, it's a very collaborative process. Even those agencies that perhaps were not part of the development of the plans are now part of the implementation, whether you're doing track rerouting study, identifying transportation improvement measures, or working with the port on reducing emissions from the equipments, from the ship. So those agencies were either part of the initially were part of this development of those strategies or CERP measures, or now the Air District, you guys are working with those agencies, cities, regional agencies together collaboratively to implement those measures to make sure that in the end of the day, those measures are implemented and you're improving the air quality and health and well-being of the community around it. So we're hoping to identify those promising practices. We're hoping to gather stakeholders, you guys, cities, regional association of governments, ports, together this to share experiences and kind of reflect on the ongoing collaboration. How is it happening right now? What is your experience? What is your assessment? Or talk about some of the past collaborative processes that were happening either in the past and when you were developing those community emission reduction plans. And hopefully through this gathering of the stakeholders, we're gonna facilitate additional ideas about collaboration. How can we actually enhance collaboration moving forward? So this work is incredibly important for us and for a lot of local governments, because as you know, nothing is done in silos. We are working in a highly collaborative world where there's complex problems that require customized solutions that benefit communities that have been under-resourced, or they need specific solutions for those communities with the very specific needs. And those processes are happening through collaboration. So at the end of the day, this better collaboration leads to improved policies, more improved programs, more effective program implementation, and equitable planning solutions for impacted communities. So collaboration is important, and this is the essence of our project. What are the promising practices? What is working? What is your experience with that? What can be done differently? Just a few more words about the projects to kind of orient you how we're hoping to get to those promising collaborative practices. There are different phases of the projects. We met with all area districts to introduce ourselves, to introduce our project, to seek guidance on what is the best way to actually gather stakeholders, have those conversations. We're in the phase 2 for the regional stakeholder collaboration, which will either gonna be some type of workshops and regional convenings or smaller focus groups, or it can be individual interviews. Again, we're working with the area districts very closely to ask which methods are more appropriate for this or other communities, which avenue of those engagements you are most comfortable with. And at the end of the project, we're gonna write the final report with the best practices based on everything we've heard from the entire all AB617 communities, which, if I'm not mistaken, there are 17 of them. Just a snapshot of the timeline. We started last year. So right now we're in that stakeholder engagement and individual interviews phase, having those conversations, focus groups, talking about promising collaborative practices when, again, developing CERPs in the past are currently implementing CERP strategies and actions. And towards the end of the year, we're going to start working on the final report. So the next 2 slides, I'm not going to go over it. Shalem will share the presentation. Basically, it repeats kind of the goals of the projects. What are we hoping to accomplish with those regional stakeholder engagements? At the end of the day, we would love to have a conversation with you. And here comes the ask. So we're hoping you will join us in this project. This project is, you've been part of this process, whether you knew or you've been part of the process since the very beginning. You probably observed some of those collaborative processes, how community, area districts, and agencies, cities, regional associations are working together to develop and or implement measures. So we would like you to participate. We have options for individual interviews. We have options for small focus groups. At the end of the day, what is you're more comfortable with, we're open to that. So the way we're gonna learn about it, I'm gonna drop the link to the Google form, and the Google form will ask you if you would like to participate. If yes, what type of format, if you need language translation, interpretation. And after we have a list of interested people, Melissa and I will be reaching out and invite you for those conversations. As I'm dropping the link in the chat, and I would like to ask you to sign up right now if you're interested to participate in either in one-on-one interviews or a focus groups. So as I'm dropping the link in the chat, let me give you just a little bit more information about the formats of those focus groups and engagements. So we're anticipating, in terms of your time commitment, we're anticipating hour to 2 hours. You know, it's going to take time to coordinate and the actual event, and maybe a little bit of follow-up just to make sure we got all the information. And here's the link. The form is in Spanish and in English. So we're talking about hour to 2 hours of your time. Again, no need to prepare for anything. Just gonna be just conversational style. We're gonna ask you a series of questions about your experience, and you will share your observations with us. And in the true spirit of AB617, we will be providing stipends as a way to say thank you for your time and your participation. So the link is in the chat. Please click on this. Please fill out 5-question form. We would love to talk to you and to hear from you. Melissa, anything to add?
No, I think you covered it. Oh, one thing. We will set up the focus groups and the interviews likely virtually, but if in person is preferred, we can definitely make that happen as well.
Great. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Shalem, can I open it up for a few questions about the projects or the process?
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to see if there's folks that have any questions about the proposed research. And just to kind of also clarify too, this is completely voluntary for folks who want to self-identify, who would like to participate. Jack, I think I saw you come off mute.
Yes. Boy, you're watching those little mute buttons, aren't you?
I'm trying.
Very good. Thank you for introducing us to your organization this evening. I guess my question really is for you, Shalem. I remember when we got started on this process about year 2 of our Portside community, wasn't UC Davis contracted to do a survey on kind of the same sort of thing we're talking about here? And I don't recall ever seeing any results from that. Was there something that was shared, or is there a reason we're kind of doing this again?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jack. So maybe Hannah, if you could maybe talk about the difference between the research that you are doing to UC Davis, and then to answer the second part of that, Jack, I believe they're still in the process of finalizing their results for the UC Davis study. And so we have asked them to come back to share what they found once they finalize that results. I think, and Domingo's been most active in that particular space behind the scenes. So I don't know if Domingo has an update regarding kind of where they're at on that study. But Hannah, would you mind sharing maybe what maybe the difference is between the research that you're doing as opposed to the research that UC Davis did about a year or two ago?
Yes, and thank you, Jack, for that question. So UC Davis is doing a general evaluation of the effectiveness of the AB617 program. In certain way, they do touch on the collaboration because it's the essence of this program. The way we can look at our project, we're peeling more layers. You know, we're specifically taking some individual measures, whether it's collaborating with the port to reduce emissions from the ship and equipment, or collaborating with the city of San Diego to develop truck rerouting studies. And we're talking to the folks who were participating in those processes, or frankly observing those processes, because it's a multi-year long processes, and we're asking them to share their experiences about it, like what constitutes the success, how it can be done differently if we are to start all over again. So that's where it's more nuanced research. We're peeling more layers and specifically talking to those folks.
Yeah, and I guess also, if I may share, Hannah, my understanding of the difference is that Dr. London's study at UC Davis was more like AB617 program evaluation overall, and that your research is more focused on kind of like government relations within the context of AB617. What has that collaboration with the different government entities, whether it be, for example, in this case, we've got SANDAG at the table. We've got the city of San Diego, the port as well. Also, the Air District being a government agency as well. What has that collaboration been like within the context of with government agencies? Is that correct in terms of what the focus of this is?
Yes, more nuanced focus.
Jack, is that helpful?
Yeah, I think yes, it is a little bit. I guess so. What you're saying is, although I'm really not sure what the UC Davis evaluation was intended to be, and I really would look forward to hearing whatever it was learned. But so you're really going to be focusing on the different community groups, whether it's Portside community, San Ysidro, and then all throughout the rest of the state, and looking for, will you be reporting on I guess the experiences of each of those individually, or what, and who will you be reporting that to?
Yes, it's going to be more general. It's going to be more promising practices. What the successful collaboration is, and what can we learn from this multiple collaboration processes across the state through AB 617. And some of those collaborations started early on with the development of the community emission reduction plan. Those folks were at the table as the measures have been developed and debated. And some of the folks came on board later when the CERPs got passed for some of the communities, and they're like, oh, we actually would like to work with the city because they have jurisdiction over some of the land use measures, such as truck rerouting, for example. And so some of those processes will get set up a little later, but they're very important for implementing that particular measure. So we want to identify kind of the common theme of what successful collaboration practices are by talking to different communities without necessarily, signaling out individual communities. There will be some examples in the report, but the focus is not just to identify practice for each community. It's more like what is recurring theme for successful collaboration? What does it mean? What ingredients does it need? So that's what we're trying to peel the layers a little bit.
And Hannah,
so you'll really be looking at it.
Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, thanks. So you'll really be looking at the opinions of the various individuals participating. Will you be considering any specific data or conclusions or successes, for example, about to what extent the collaborative processes were successful or were not, or will you just really be seeking people's opinions about whether or not they were successful?
We're going to be looking at looking at people's experiences and kind of getting the common theme out of those experiences. And Melissa, feel free to jump in.
Yes, so I agree with everything Hannah said. We will be looking for commonalities, but that doesn't mean that if you all have a fantastic example of something that went really well, we do want to uplift those success stories in addition to finding those themes across the different communities. And then I think if I'm understanding the second part of your question, are you talking about will we be trying to draw the through thread from a practice to the successful implementation?
I guess I was looking at whether or not you would be evaluating any of the, for example, would you be evaluating the CERP to see what goals were accomplished, which ones weren't, or you really just be seeking the opinions of the various individuals involved?
The latter. So what,
okay.
Essentially to inform future processes, whether that's 617 related or not, but if we are looking at future collaborative processes that are community driven, what recommendations can we make, or what practices can we uplift to make those processes perhaps more successful in terms of connecting the community with the agencies that have land use authority, for example, with community organizations. How can we put a finer point on what's going well, so that maybe those can be replicated in the future?
Well, my only suggestion would be that I think, like you said, what's going well, if you're going to rely exclusively on public opinions or the specific opinions of the people in the different groups, well, then you have an opinion survey really, as opposed to offering some specific examples of successes in the terms of what emission reductions were achieved, which programs actually resulted in the goals that this community is seeking. So I just would add that comment. And is this and my last question, I'm sorry to take so much time here, is this being sponsored by CARB or who's okay? Yes. All right, thank you.
It's community air grant.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And regarding your earlier question, Jack, about kind of like the previous study, like what's kind of the update on that. I'll see if Domingo's here, if he's able to provide kind of an update on that. But I just also wanted to ask Hannah, you had a project timeline in your presentation, which I also hyperlinked in the chat. I was wondering, like, when is this study projected to be concluded, and would you be able to come back to this group to share the findings of that study as well?
Absolutely. We would love to come back and share what we've learned from all AB 617 communities. Yeah. So yes.
And roughly, based upon if all things go well and the timeline stays the same, roughly when should that be anticipated by this group?
So definitely
early next year.
After the final report is completed, which we're aiming this year. So in terms of coming back, we're looking at the next year.
Probably early
Awesome.
next year.
Yeah.
Great. And I saw Domingo come on the screen. Domingo?
Shalom. So the study with the UC Davis research team, right now they are in the process of reviewing the final draft of the final report. So I think it will be released pretty soon after. And just to clarify, some of the focus areas for that study are really on the process, the outcomes. So for example, when they're looking at the process, they'll be trying to answer the question of how well is the implementation of AB 617 meeting the goals of the AB 617 legislation and the blueprint for the CAP program. In terms of outcomes, how well is the implementation of the program meeting the goal of improving air quality in the selected communities, and then what factors help explain these processes and outcomes. So it's more of a higher level or broader, I should say, more of a broader assessment of the program overall. And so that's kind of what they're focusing on for that study.
Thanks, Domingo.
Sure.
Right. Nicholas.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Hannah, and Melissa. For community members that are interested in participating, how much is the stipend? I think it was referenced, but I don't think there were specifics on the amount.
Yeah, thank you, Nicola. We're still working with Shalem on the recommended amounts. Melissa, do we have any other answer?
No, but we will definitely share that information before before you engage in the process, so you can make that determination if it makes sense for you.
Awesome. Are there any other questions or comments before we transition to the next item on the agenda? And also, Hannah and Melissa left their contact information as well on the slide deck, and they'll also be putting it in the chat as well. If you have any questions, to directly connect with them regarding the study. If you're interested in exploring, maybe it's not 100% yes right now, but exploring potentially being part of this conversation, please do take a moment to click on the link on that survey that Hannah put in the chat box, and share your contact information so that they're able to engage with you all directly, as well as they begin to engage in these conversations. So not seeing other hands. I just want to say thank you, Hannah and Melissa, for being here this evening. We look forward to seeing the results of what's learned throughout the state, what's working well, what can be improved in terms of kind of the government community relations within the context of AB 617. So thank you both.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. At this time, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Zavala from San Diego State University, who will be sharing his research on the PAIR program. Dr. Zavala.
Thank you, Shalem. Good evening, everyone. I'm assuming you can hear me well. Yes, thank you. I'm going to start sharing the screen. As of now, could you please confirm that you see the full screen as well?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, everyone. Again, my name is Miguel Zavala. I'm an associate professor in the School of Public Health from San Diego State University. And this is a project done in collaboration with Environmental Health Coalition and San Diego County Air Pollution Control District. We want to thank the opportunity for sharing the results in this setting. We are very excited about this. And this is a project that is sponsored by the California Air Resources Board. And that prompts me to give the necessary disclaimer that the findings and conclusions presented in this work are the responsibility of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views and policies of CARB. With that in mind, I'm just going to head describing the agenda for the presentation. We will start with a short introduction describing the background of the project, a very brief description of the methodology that we used. We are going to focus most of the presentation on the results, particularly about two topics. First, we're going to present results on the efficiency estimates for the use of air purifiers that were part of the pay program. So as part of the pay program, the community members receive air purifiers, and we estimated the efficiency of these devices. We are also going to present results on the perception of the participants in the use of these devices, both the air purifiers and air monitors, air quality monitors. We present the conclusions, and we're hoping to have some time at the end of the presentation to get your feedback and respond any questions that you may have. With that in mind, we want to start by acknowledging the close relationship between indoor air pollution and human health. The different kinds of sources inside our homes include smoking, cooking, emissions that come from cleaning, allergenics, and microbial sources of air pollution. Those add to the contributions that come from outside, from outdoor ambient pollution levels. Together, they contribute to the overall exposure to air pollutants that we all face in our daily lives. Now, as a background of the project, we started as the aftermath of the fire in 2020 of the USS Bonhomme Richard Navy. You are probably all familiar with. After that crisis, residents of the Portside community, AB617, receive above 500 or more air purifiers and monitors. So the participants receive these devices along with some stipend, extra filters for a period of 2 years. The whole program was managed by the Trust Community-Based Organization, Environmental Health Coalition, that is also part of our project. So this payer program on itself presented a unique opportunity to evaluate, to estimate the efficiency of the air purifiers as they are used in real-world operation settings. Every time that you go to the store and purchase one of these devices, you get a number coming from the manufacturer. Those numbers are obtained in laboratory conditions, controlled conditions. So it's a way different thing to assess the efficiency of the devices in real world operating conditions. So that's how the objectives of the project came about. We asked essentially two questions. How efficient are the air purifiers working in real world settings? Can we say something about that, having data from the pay program? And then what is the perception of the users in terms of the efficiency, but also in terms of the perceived benefits of the use of these devices? And again, these are the two questions that you will be hearing from us today. A brief description of the methods that we use. Essentially, we started with an intensive data collection activity. There were about 500 devices installed, with the important caveat that the pay program itself was not designed as a research project. And that's a very important thing that I want to highlight, because not being a research project in nature, there were multiple parameters that we would have loved to have controlled or at least information about. And unfortunately, that's not the case because it was not designed for that purpose. Nevertheless, we were able to obtain information from what's available in those databases and came up with analysis that we're presenting today. I also want to emphasize that we went through the very important process of de-identification. No personal information was used in this analysis. We were very careful to respect the personal information of the participants. So all the analysis was done in a blind setting, meaning we didn't have access to personal information of the participants in order to respect their privacy. We went through a strong quality assurance protocol and quality control so that we could process our data with statistical methods, both quantitative and qualitative. And the results are part of the public report that's going to be presented to CERP. It's in the review stage. And that report includes additional data that we will not be including today in view of time, but definitely the information is available, and whoever wants to have access to it, we can make sure that that happens. With that in mind, we want to start with a slide describing how does the data look in the first place. This is a time series of one device, a monitoring device that you see dots or points on the screen. Every point represents an average of 5 minutes of PM2.5 concentrations inside the home of the participant. The green vertical line that you see in the middle represents the date and time that we know for sure that the air purifier was installed. So essentially, our analysis consisted in analyzing or comparing the left-hand side, that's before the device is installed, with the right-hand side, after the air purifier is installed, and come up with metrics of whatever changes happen due to the installation of the device. Nevertheless, as you can imagine, the important parameter to consider here is the actual date and time of the installation of the device. And again, unfortunately, that information was not necessarily captured with sufficient certainty in all the cases for different reasons that we can discuss later if needed. Nevertheless, the results that we are going to present today corresponds to the analysis of those devices for which we have certainty of the date and time of the installation of the device. So we have excluded the results in these presentations, although they are present in the overall report. So again, it's comparing the efficiency by calculating the levels before and after the device is installed, going through hypothesis testing, selecting different statistical methods to test those hypotheses. Jumping right away to the results, we wanted to describe the overall results is by the use of box plots. So we first look at the median, which represents a typical value of efficiency. You see different box plots on screen corresponding to PM2.5, PM10, and PM1. So the first result that you can observe from this is that the efficiency itself does not necessarily vary by pollutant PM size. Negative numbers corresponds to reductions. So everything below the red line represents a benefit, represents a reduction in indoor air pollution levels due to the use of the air purifier. Values range from close to 0 to closer to 60 or above. The three different colors that you see correspond to daytime values, nighttime values, and the whole data. In other words, I'm going to go back quickly. You can compare left-hand side before and after, but you can also filter by nighttime periods or daytime periods. And that's what these different colors represent for overall results. Then we can also ask, how does the efficiency that we are estimating changes if we look only to low concentration values. So what happens if inside the homes, the pollution levels are relatively low? So that's what we see on the left-hand side. We look at the first quartile, which in statistics represents the very first 25% of the data. So that means low concentrations. We see that the efficiency of the air purifiers increases a little bit. The difference between day and night, it's also more pronounced. Daytime efficiencies being higher than nighttime values. And then we can ask the same question, but for episodes or periods of high concentrations. And we see that the efficiency estimates reduce. So in other words, the results indicate that the air purifiers in real-world operating conditions are more efficient dealing with relatively low concentrations inside the homes and less efficient, if you will, also still producing benefits or reductions at higher concentrations. These the results are in agreement with available literature on the performance of air purifiers overall. Again, the caveat with this type of analysis is that we have to be very careful about associating cause and effect. So what's the cause of the variability observed? Those are different questions that unfortunately cannot be answered directly with the data at hand. So this is the overall result in it. The other point that we wanted to present to you today is the indoor to outdoor ratios. In other words, what are the changes in air pollution levels inside the homes in comparison with ambient or outdoor levels? So this is a comparison of that ratio over the period of time with available data. Everything below the black dotted line, everything below 1 represent conditions where indoor levels are lower than ambient levels. That's summarized on the right-hand side, and we see that most of the time, 80% of the time, pollution levels inside the homes are lower than in the outdoor ambient conditions, which is, again, a good sign, a good result. We can also ask the same question as before in terms of comparing the behavior of this ratio, the indoor to outdoor ratios, in terms of typical conditions in the middle and low pollution levels in ambient conditions on the left-hand side, or episodes of high pollution on the right-hand side. And we see that the indoor to outdoor ratio remains below 1 for all of them, but there are still episodes, either low concentrations or periods of high pollution levels outside, that the ratio is above 1. So these are kind of the summary of the indoor-outdoor ratios and the efficiency that we estimated with available data. And what I want to do now is to our colleagues, Leti Ayala and Chelsea Mendoza, are going to inform us about the results on the qualitative aspect of the project, how the participants perceive the use and what challenges they observe. And Chelsea, if you please kind of mute yourself and start, let me know when to move the slides every time for you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Zavala. Hi, I'm Chelsea Mendoza, and I'm a public health graduate student at San Diego State University, and my involvement in the PAIR program has been mostly assisting with data analysis. So we conducted a survey for participants to see their observed health benefits of these devices, and 35 individuals participated. On the slide, you could see a chart that has responses to the question, have you noticed any changes in your health or well-being since using the air purifier? And 74.3% of the respondents said yes. When asked to elaborate in a separate question, we noted that all of these changes were positive improvements. And now I'll hand that over to Leti Ayala to speak a little bit more on those results.
Thank you, Chelsea. Hi, buenas tardes. Good evening. My name is Leti Ayala, Healthy Kids Campaign Director at Environmental Health Coalition, part of the team that conducted the distribution of the air monitors and air purifiers to Portside community residents. Some of the common responses include more energy and better sleep, más energía y mejor sueño, alleviated asthmatic symptoms greatly and helped with better sleep quality, alivió consideradamente los síntomas asmáticos y mejoró la calidad del sueño, get sick with less frequency, se enferman con menos frecuencia. Next slide, please.
So now we'll take a closer look at how the air purifiers specifically impacted individuals with pre-existing health conditions. Among the 26 respondents out of 35 who reported having household members with these conditions, 25 indicated that the purifier helped alleviate their symptoms. And an additional 20 shared that they have needed to use their medication less frequently since using these devices. Next slide, please.
Symptoms alleviation and medication reduction. Before installing the devices, a participant struggled with chronic issues, thinking she had asthma, but the air purifier resolved all of her symptoms. Antes de instalar los dispositivos, un participante luchaba con problemas crónicos pensando que tenía asma, pero el purificador del aire resolvió todos sus síntomas. And some of the quotes are hardly any asthma attacks since using the purifier. Casi ningún ataque de asma desde que usó el purificador. So, wow. For those suffering from respiratory illnesses such as asthma, it's fantastic to learn about their health improvements, such as reducing asthma attacks and using less medication. Several participating families who shared their results with us were invited to this meeting. And we say thank you, familias, for opening the doors of your homes for this project that has successfully documented health improvements using air purifiers. With this information, we hope that more funding becomes available to help even more families in the environmental justice communities who need cleaner air to breathe. Next slide, please.
So reviewing overall, majority of respondents didn't face any difficulties using the air purifier or monitor. For those who did, the most common issues were related to filter replacement cost and maintenance, loss of equipment such as for cables and monitors, and concerns about their accuracy. However, there was overall engagement with the device, with 80% of participants reporting daily use, and despite having any challenges or barriers, 100% of participants would recommend these devices to others.
All right. Well, we are going to go to some conclusions, and then after we will open the floor for your feedback and questions. As conclusions, we present these statements that air purifiers can substantially reduce indoor PM levels, with some households seeing up to 60% reductions. This is a floor level of the efficiency, because the effectiveness, the actual effectiveness could in principle be higher than that. It's just that we could not assess in particular causes of loss efficiency as key parameters where we were not able to control in this experiment, in this project. We went ahead and analyzed the variability of the efficiency depending on environmental conditions like wind speed, temperature, relative humidity. We don't present those results here, but they are available in the report. We conclude that the optimized placement, regular maintenance, and continuous operation are key to maximizing efficiency. In other words, there is still room to further improve the benefits, increase the benefits of the use of these devices. We also present these conclusions that participants widely use air purifiers and monitors, reporting improvements in air quality and respiratory health, Concerns about air pollution were common before receiving the devices, highlighting the need for ongoing interventions. And overall, that better user support, accessibility, and education could enhance the effectiveness of these devices. And with that, we want to open the floor to your comments, questions, or feedback. We just put on screen some points that you might want to consider in your questions or feedback, but this is open space for you to share.
Thank you, Dr. Zavala, Letty, and Chelsea for presenting this important information today. Want to see if anyone has any questions or comments regarding the presentation and the findings. Nicholas.
Yes, hello, Dr. Zavala. Thank you so much for the presentation. I just wanted to make a quick comment, on how exciting this study was and comment on all the hard work that the PAIR team had done over the past several years. I did have a question about if these are the same filters being used in the TJ River Valley, in the international borders area.
Yeah, that's a great question. The filters being used in the Tijuana River Valley is a different vendor. One of the things, and Domingo can share more about this as well if he's on, but one of the things that was important specifically for the community members in the Tijuana River Valley is to have a filter that could also support with filtering out odor or hydrogen sulfide. And so the filters there have, I believe, like a charcoal activated type filter as well that can address not only a PM 2.5, but also address odors to a certain degree. So the filters there are a bit different. They look very, very similar. They're very similar in size as well. But our team worked very closely with the California Air Resources Board, CARB, to get an appropriate recommendation for the folks in that community. But Domingo, did you want to add more to that?
But I think you covered it, Shalom, unless there are any other specific questions.
Yeah. Great question, Nick. We'll go to Montserrat, Phil, and then Margarita.
Pues, como saben, soy organizadora comunitaria para la EHC y a mí me tocó repartir estos purificadores y estos monitores. Y pues yo estoy en contacto con muchas de esas familias que fueron beneficiadas por estos purificadores y he escuchado, estoy muy de acuerdo con lo que aquí se dijo de los beneficios que ha traído para muchas familias que tienen pues niños con asma o diferentes problemas respiratorios y les ha ayudado enormemente. Así que pues tengo gente que me dice pues nos gustaría que se pudieran dar más de esos filtros para más familias. Entonces yo abogo porque pues podamos hacerlo, ¿verdad? Podamos beneficiar a más familias. Gracias.
Thank you.
Gracias,
Thank you, Montse.
Solo quiero decir
Let's go to
gracias,
Phil.
Montserrat. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Thanks. We'll go to Phil and then Margarita and then Jack and then Nick.
Thank you for the presentation and the results of these. The port also contributed funding to the PAIR program, and it seems like it's working effectively, and the users have had good results from it. So one thing for our steering committee to consider is that potential future funding could go to advancing the PAIR program for more users. So thank you.
Thank you, Phil. We'll go to Margarita, then Jack, Nick, and then Alicia.
Ok. Buenas tardes, Nico. No, más que nada a mí me tocó ser una de las personas que PAIR también le dio un filtro de aire Yo tengo un hijo que desde pequeño siempre sufría de asma y la verdad que yo agradezco mucho porque desde que me dieron el filtro de aire, mi hijo ya no ha tenido que ir tanto al doctor. Sí tiene tos a veces, pues dependiendo del clima, pero les ayuda muchísimo a la gente que tiene problemas respiratorios y yo agradezco que me hayan dado el filtro y he oído mucha gente que quiere filtros y pues se me hace muy bueno lo que están haciendo. Gracias.
Gracias a ti, Margarita.
Thank you. We'll go to Jack, Nick, then Alicia.
Thank you, Dr. Zavala. Thank you for the presentation this evening. Truly, it would appear that the community members are, I mean, the testimonials I'm hearing here are very encouraging in terms of people that have benefited from this. My question, I had a couple questions just about how all this works and specifically like, how often does a user need to change the filter in this equipment?
Yeah, that's.
Go ahead, Dr. Zavala.
No, I just wanted to on that indicate that the device itself has an auto set option where it will detect the levels, sorry, not the actual levels, but higher concentrations, lower concentrations to activate automatically a fan. But the actual time it will take for the filter to be changed, it will depend on the actual levels and use, of course. That's in itself an interesting research question that may be exploring a different extension of the PAIR program or similar.
Yeah.
So assuming somebody's using one of these on a regular basis, can you just give us a sense, is it something that needs to be changed weekly, monthly, every quarter, or?
I think like 9 to 12 months, but Letty, do you have more specifics for this specific vendor?
Yeah, well, apparently we were told that it would be around 6 months, but in actuality, it sounds like they're lasting up to a year. The homes that are probably more in the closest proximity to maybe the freeways and stuff, we were getting calls early on saying that they did need more of the filters, but really for the majority of people, we're seeing that it's lasting, up to a year. So it's pretty good.
Gotcha. Well, John Alvarado would certainly say that that's exactly what we all expected in terms of proximity to freeways and its impact on the emissions. Then so the question, kind of the main part of my question is, so if I understood it right, you said 60%. Oh, first of all, what was the total number of purifiers that were actually distributed? So you had 35 people included in the survey, but how many were actually out there?
500.
Oh, 500, great. Okay. And in this, then the study shows that up to 60% reduction in some cases occurred from these purifiers. Can you give us an idea what's the average that was actually achieved? 60%, obviously the best. It sounds like we could hope for, but what was kind of an average level of emission reduction?
That's a interesting question, a good question, because as you notice, we presented the results in the form of median. So we look at the median, so there's the 50 percentile. And many people are not used to that term. Many people think in terms of average, which is a different metric. The
Beg your pardon, doctor, if I could I'm sorry, I completely lost my audio, so I'm not hearing your answer at all. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
I got it back. Thank you. I apologize.
No, not a problem. I was just mentioning that you may have noticed that we presented the results in the form of median. So in other words, the 50% of the data. And yes, it's true, many people don't think in those terms. They are more familiar with the use of average. We purposely chose to present the results in terms of median because it's a better way to present data when it's highly skewed. If your data has low values and mixed with high values at the same time, the average is not as informative. So we have the results in terms of average, and they are in the report. But we also present and chose to present the results in terms of median to have a better indication of the actual behavior of the devices as a typical value.
And what would that be? The median, I mean.
I can't recall at the top of my mind. Maybe Isaiah is our analyst. Do you have in your mind the average numbers that we obtain?
For a specific type of PM, maybe 2.5, I believe it was 37%.
Reduction?
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I asked that question because I think what, at least it's a significant takeaway for me, is that with a median average of 37% reduction, we've heard the testimonials here this evening, and a substantial improvement in the air quality in these people's homes was achieved at just that level. I mean, that's pretty exceptional.
Yeah, what the results show is that there is a large distribution of efficiencies. Some homes presented very high reductions, and others not so much. The difference in variability could be to multiple causes that unfortunately we were not able to explore those causes because we didn't have control of where the device was installed, how close to the kitchen, for example, how close to windows. Those parameters we were not able to have a handle on. So we cannot really tell the cause of that variability. What we can say is that overall, the results we presented are statistically significant. So it's not due to random chance. These are actual benefits.
And I think the positive of that is that knowing that even with that, not 100%, not a 50% on a median basis, but less than a 50% improvement was created a noticeable positive benefit. I just think that's encouraging.
Thank you, Jack. We're actually going to go to Alicia first and then have Nick have the final word before we transition to our last presentation. Alicia.
Buenas tardes. Pues yo soy residente de aquí de National City y promotora de la coalición de salud ambiental y también miembro de aquí del comité AB617, y soy una de las personas que he trabajado con Montserrat, mi compañera, y con otros compañeros en repartir los filtros. Yo no lo tengo en mi casa por cuestión a la dirección, pero sí me siento satisfecha de todos los filtros que se repartieron a personas que sí son, que los necesitan por la calidad de aire que hay aquí en National City tan mala, por tanto contaminación que tenemos de talleres mecánicos y de pintura y carrocería. Y es un trabajo maravilloso lo que se hizo en PER, que haya repartido esos filtros y si se pueden repartir más, porque hay mucha familia que lo necesita aquí en nuestra comunidad de National City, sería magnífico. Me siento muy contenta y gracias por el trabajo que nos están ayudando a hacer.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Thank you, Alicia. We'll have Nick with the final word on this.
Okay, thank you, Shalem, and everyone. I just wanted, I know we're at time here, and I just wanted to send a quick word. I think Letty pretty much beat me to it and named a lot of the people that I was going to thank. So thank you, Letty. But I just wanted to also tie a bow on this a little bit more, because at first, when this funding was allocated from the county to allocate the money for these purifiers and monitors, there was an additional direction that not many people knew about, that said we had to assess data from this project. And this is that. I mean, this is more than I think even we had even envisioned. And so I just wanted to express gratitude to all the folks that Letty mentioned in her message in the chat: CARB, SDSU, certainly EHC for being the best trusted team member on the ground for making this all work, and then other project partners like the port that Phil mentioned contributing. I think even the Navy threw in a little bit of money at the end. So there was a lot of people that made this work, a lot of team members, equipment vendors. So I just wanted to express my gratitude for everyone involved. I think the data is very interesting, and I would just encourage everyone to read the full report when it's made available. And I'm sure we can pass that along through the committee, Shalem, when it's available. But just want to express my sincere thanks to everybody involved.
Thank you so much, Nick. And thank you, Dr. Zavala, for being here today and presenting. We certainly want to review the report, especially the findings around like how the program could improve and how the filters could be more effective in the home, so that we could pass along that information with community members as new community members come into the program. I just want to highlight that actually in the community emission reduction program, the goal is 1,000 filters, and so we're a little bit more than halfway there. So the Air District is committed to reaching that goal. Right now, this year, we've had to pivot kind of our filter program in the Tijuana River Valley in terms of staff capacity and getting those filters out. Our goal there is 10,000 because it's many, many households impacted around that area. But as soon as we have that capacity, we want to repivot and restart the program at Portside to meet that the 1,000 filter goal, which we're well on our way. So thank you all for being here this evening. I know we're a bit over on time, but I'm confident we can make up the time on the back end. So right now I'd like to pass it over to Phil, who's going to introduce our next set of speakers from Zucarmex project, and I'll turn over to Phil with the Port of San Diego.
Sure, and thanks, Shalem. Do you want me to pull up the slides?
That would be wonderful if you're able to, yeah.
I don't know if I'm able to, but I'll try. Oh boy, let's see here. Is that working?
Yes.
That works?
Looks good. Looks good.
Okay. Okay, we'll see if I can change the slides too when needed. Well, thanks, Shalem, and thanks to the steering committee tonight for agendizing this topic. Our team here tonight will be providing an informational presentation about a project proposal that we received from Zucarmex to build a sugar storage facility on our 10th Avenue Marine Terminal. Tonight we have I have a few colleagues from the port that will be here to provide the presentation, answer questions, and then we have our friends at Zucarmex that are here. So we have Miguel Reyes, he's in our maritime trade team. Joel Valenzuela, he's our director of maritime here at the port. Juliet Orozco's with our development services department. And then we have Rick Eastman from Zucarmex. He's the San Diego representative for Zucarmex here. I want to be clear that at this point, this is a proposed project to the port, and this is very early on in the project development process. So we're providing outreach and an opportunity for the Portside community to learn about this project tonight and to provide their feedback. Tentatively, we'll be going to our board in May for what we call preliminary project review. Now, at this stage of the process, the board will not be approving the project. They'll be learning about it just as you're learning about it tonight. It gives our board opportunity to ask questions and learn more about the project. It allows the public, like you all, to come to our board meeting and express your opinions on the project as well. And then if folks like it, then they'll move it to the environmental review process. So I say all this just to let you know that there is a process. And there'll be lots of opportunity for you to learn about the project as well as express your opinions on it. And before I hand it over to Miguel, I just want to say, one of the key goals of all of ours in the community emission reduction plan, as well as the port's maritime clean air strategy, is to advance deployment of zero emission vehicles and trucks that are coming to our terminal to move goods around our region. Zucarmex shares those goals, and they've really designed this project from the ground up to be supportive and really to be a catalyst for zero emission truck adoption at the port. So we're really happy that Zucarmex has proposed this project in this way that will help us all meet our collective goals. And as you'll learn tonight, trucks that will move sugar from the terminal to Otay Mesa would go through two of our overburdened communities, the Portside community, as well as the international border community. So I think it will go a long way to reduce emissions in our county and in our community. So with that, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Miguel, to provide some background on the project. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Phil. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for the invite. Buenas noches. My name is Miguel Reyes. I work for the Port of San Diego under Business Development Unit on 10th Avenue. So I think it is important to provide some context on the 10th Avenue redevelopment plan. Some of you may know that particular plan was adopted by our Board of Port Commissioners back in December of 2016. That particular plan has a good set of objectives and mitigation measures over the next 20 years to modernize and grow our operations on 10th Avenue in a sustainable way. And also it allows the district to have a greener and cleaner operation at this particular site. On the screen, you see a map of the different cargo nodes that we market at the 10th Avenue Marine Terminal. Dry bulk products, those particular commodities are handled at the south end of the terminal, and you can see that in the purple areas on this particular map. And this is the area where Zucarmex operates right now. So with that in mind, Zucarmex, it's a Mexican dry bulk importer of sugar from Mexico and Brazil and Central America. They have submitted a project proposal with the intent to modernize their operations in San Diego and also to become a port tenant. We feel that the project comports with the port's environmental goals on 10th Avenue and with our maritime cleaner strategy in order to offer a healthier and again, a greener operation at this particular site. With that, I'd like to introduce Rick Eastman, which is the owner representative of Zucarmex US, to provide an overview on Zucarmex and also on their proposed project. Rick?
Thank you, Miguel, and good evening. My name is Rick Eastman, and I'm the owner's representative for Zucarmex USA and Zucarmex Mexico. Zucarmex is a family-owned company and the largest cane sugar producer in Mexico, with Zucarmex USA operating here in the United States. Zucarmex USA owns and operates a raw sugar refining plant in San Diego, located in Otay Mesa, just 20 miles from the 10th Avenue terminal. Our facilities include 250,000 square feet of warehouse space, along with refining and packaging operations, and we're employing approximately 120 people. Our retail brand, Zulka, is marketed nationally through major retails such as Costco, Walmart, Kroger, Aldi, and others. We serve industrial customers such as Nestle, Danone, White Wave, Chobani, and Starbucks Tazo tea. Raw sugar will be received at the 10th Avenue terminal from Zucarmex mills in Mexico, as well as shipments originating from Brazil and Central America, as Miguel mentioned. Zucarmex began discussions with the Port of San Diego to establish long-term tenancy at the 10th Avenue terminal, which will enhance our cargo handling, raw sugar storage, and transport capabilities. Next slide, please. This proposal includes the construction of a purpose-built warehouse equipped with a solar panel roof system capable of generating 850 kilowatts of electricity. This system will power zero-emission electric semi-trucks and other material handling equipment. On-terminal commodity storage will improve delivery options to Zucarmex Otay Mesa operations and reduce daily traffic through the surrounding area. We plan to install modern unloading equipment to ensure compliance with regulatory particulate matter control while really enhancing efficiency of vessel unloading and on-terminal cargo movement. As was previously mentioned, the project aligns with MCAS's clean air transportation objectives, and I think will bring real benefit to the local community. Are there any questions?
I think we have one more slide before we go to questions.
Well, I can, yeah. It's the trucks. We're looking at a fleet of Kenworth T680 electric trucks, semi trucks, and are prepared to put those in operation when we have our facilities in operation.
And then I take it over from here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Rick. Again, as Phil mentioned at the beginning of our presentation, this is an early check-in in order to inform the community and other stakeholders about the proposed project from Zucarmex. We're envisioning, again, to provide community outreach events in the months of March and April to start. And as Phil mentioned, we're planning to take this item to our Board of Port Commissioners at the May 6th board meeting for a preliminary project review presentation, where we're going to be requesting our board for staff to commence environmental review. After that, we're expecting the SWICA review process to start, and then getting a coastal development permit, and then a set of terms of the lease to present to our board at a later date this year. And also ultimately, the construction of this particular project. So with that, that's the end of our presentation. We are open to any comments or questions. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you all for being here this evening and for sharing this potential project with the community early before kind of it goes through the formal process. So a lot of appreciation for that. I want to pause here and see if folks have any questions or comments that they'd like to ask the port or Zucarmex. We'll go to Sal and then Maritza.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for this presentation. I just think it'd be really helpful to see, as mentioned there towards the last slide, where it said the upgrades to the current equipment of offloading or operations there at Zucarmex at the port, that we show, or we can show the current technology to the new technology and what that impact does as far as the emissions reduction. I understand the zero emission vehicles is a big jump already, but it's just like what the portion of it on the port terminal operations of what we're seeing as an improvement. I think it'd be really helpful to see that in the presentation.
Yeah, so what they're proposing is to fully enclose their unloading system. And so as Rick mentioned, that's gonna control up to 95% of a particular matter. So that's gonna be a big change in the way they want to do the operations on 10th Avenue.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the visual of the reduction from further out.
Keep that in mind.
I understand 95%.
Yeah.
I wish it was 100, but 95% is pretty close, right? But at the same time, where we at today to what that projection looks like, that way I think it'd be a little easier to support such a project when we can understand it fully. That's all.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I think, can you hear me? I apologize. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I
Yes.
hear
Yeah,
someone.
Joel Valenzuela here from the port. So, Sal, thank you for the suggestion. As we complete the design for this project, and we have actual renderings, we'll make sure to come back and kind of show those. But just going back to Miguel's earlier statement, there's two components that are really being modernized here. One is the method of conveyance from ship to truck and warehouse, which is going to be fully enclosed. Right now, it's kind of in an open hopper system that just kind of, flows into a container and then transferred to the trucks. So it's going to be fully enclosed. And then the second one is, they're currently using diesel trucks to deliver to Otay Mesa, and those will be electrified.
Yeah. And just for our note-taking purposes, was that Rick speaking or someone else?
I'm sorry, this is Joel Valenzuela.
Joel Valenzuela, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll go to Maritza and then Montse.
Yeah, mine was more just a comment. I just really want to again applaud the port and Zucarmex for coming so early on to involve community members and stakeholders and just the steering committee. I was privileged to be able to be part of a meeting with them with EHC earlier this week, and it's just really shows the amount of commitment that you have to be able to improve your practices. And I just as a community member, it's amazing to be able to be here in this space and to see that it's a little different than how things used to be done. And I encourage that this, to continue. And just wanted to get that. So thank you so much again for this presentation. All looks good to me. Appreciate you.
Okay, thank you for your feedback, Maritza. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Maritza. Montse?
Sí, gracias. De acuerdo con Maritza, hemos trabajado este comité por muchos años con documentos como el CERP y como el MCAS. Entonces, qué bueno, ¿no? Que se esté alineando lo que está pasando o los negocios que están llegando aquí a la región con esos objetivos. Pero tengo una pregunta. En la presentación me quedó a mí la duda, no hablaron nada si va a haber un aumento en cuanto a los barcos que van a estar llegando, o sea, va a aumentar el número de barcos operando por este negocio.
So historically, it's been about 5 to 6 per year.
And Miguel, and may not be known right now at this point, but that's historically, but do we know with this project if it would stay within that range or?
Yeah, more or less, it's going to be about the same. If there are any increases, it's going to be marginal. So it's probably going to be about 5 or 6 again,
Yeah. Thank you, Miguel. Good question. Were you going to add something, Phil?
No.
Okay.
Like I am.
It looked like you're about to say something. All right. I just want to see if there's any other questions or comments from anyone who's online. So Sophia has a question in the chat box. They ask, what will be the main sources of emissions? What will be the main sources of emissions be for this project? Will it be the boats?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, probably will be the boats. That is correct. Yes.
Thank you, Sophia, for uplifting that. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
May I? Sorry, this is Joel Valenzuela again. So I also want to point out that with this project, the amount of time that the ship will be on port will be decreased because currently they don't have a place to store the sugar at port. And so the vessel remains at berth as we're unloading it to the trucks until it's fully empty. And so with a storage facility at port, we could unload the vessel quicker and the vessel leaves, and then the trucks can come at, at more convenient intervals than waiting for the whole time that the vessel is here. So
it spreads that movement out over 6 weeks.
Yeah, and this forgive my ignorance on this question. Will the EPA grant that the port was awarded help support with electrification of kind of, ships docking and being able to get electric power? Is that part of the conversation or part of the potential?
It is the EPA grant funds a suite of electrification initiatives, including upgrading our electrical infrastructure at the terminal. The terminal was built in the 50s, and so we can't support the capacity of electrification that's happening with our current infrastructure. So a big chunk of that funding will be to upgrade our electrical facilities here. And then also a big chunk will be purchasing cargo handling equipment that's electric for our major tenants.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. We'll go to Sal.
Yeah, I just had a follow-up question. With the operations having a warehouse now on the terminal, will that open up the door to have the vehicles or the truckloads be moved off the peak hours, if you will?
Yeah. So what that facility enables is to spread out the truck traffic over 6 weeks, as opposed to a very concentrated period of time where they need to unload the vessel as quickly as possible onto trucks.
Yeah, I understood that part. I'm just talking about, is there a potential for late hours or late gates to get some of those loads out where it's not?
Yeah, that's gonna be possible. Yes, the answer is yes. Yeah.
All right. Will that be included in the plan or presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, great questions. Any other questions or comments? Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you to the port and to Zucarmex for sharing this information in advance with the community. Phil, please keep us posted as things move along on the timeline, and we'd be happy to send out reminders as to when things are moving along that timeline to this committee as well. So thank you all. I've also put a link to the presentation as well in the chat. So if folks want to go back and look at some of the slides, it's there. It's also on the port CSC webpage as well. So if you want to reference it there as well. So thank you so much, Phil and Zucarmex. With that, we're at the conclusion of our meeting tonight, and thank you for making up that time for us at the end. Our next meeting is scheduled for, I'm just checking my notes here. Whoops. Got my wrong thing. It is scheduled for April 22nd. We will send out a notification if it'll be virtual or in person. We're trying to work out a few logistical things on our end. And some things to anticipate for that next conversation. We wanted to be mindful. There was a couple of kind of time-sensitive items that we wanted to include in this agenda for this month. So we ended up moving our monitoring data presentation, which is scheduled for next month. Also, we hope to receive an update on how the indirect source working group, the progress of that working group and what's been identified there as it relates to indirect sources. Those are two things that I know that are on the horizon for next month. But as always, please do reach out to myself, and also you'll have the contact information at for the folks at Kearns and West. If you'd like to bring a presentation before this group as well. So we will certainly, as always, send out the draft agendas in advance as well. But before we adjourn tonight, I just want to see if there's anything that should be on our radar to include either for next month or the upcoming months as well. Awesome. And as always, you can certainly reach out to myself and then as we onboard Kearns and West to them as well. Thank you all. Do we have someone who would like to adjourn the meeting officially?
This is Maritza. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second.
And Jack seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Also, all those opposed are buying me dinner. Say nay. All those opposed say nay. All right.
There you go.
Awesome. All right. So we'll see you all next month, if not sooner, and be well. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Buenas
Thanks,
noches.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye, everyone.